Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let's start by reciting the rood upon the best of creation, Nabi Pak sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Mawlana Muhammadin wa ala ali Sayyidina wa Mawlana Muhammadin wa ashabi Sayyidina wa Mawlana Muhammadin wa barak wa sallam wa salli alayhi. Last week we talked about actions and the importance of developing small actions in our daily routine to help develop our health and fitness overall. Do anyone here remember some of the actions we discussed last week, for anyone attended last week? So we mentioned tracking, yeah. Anything else? Niyat, we talked about niyat at the start. So creating a deeper purpose than, oh, I just want to look good in the mirror. We talked about actually developing a niyat which connects your development of your health with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and becoming more obedient to His will. We also touched on goal setting, so actually creating a map of where you want to get to, which will increase the likelihood of you achieving your target. And then we also talked about planning and the importance of planning, which helps put you in control and helps you develop the necessary behaviors that you need to achieve success in your health and fitness outcomes. And finally, we touched on the morning as well, and the importance as Muslims to take advantage of the morning. This week we're going to talk about mindset, inshallah, and the importance of bringing your mind with you on the journey of developing your health and fitness. So some of the problems that we have with our mindset is our priority. We don't think of developing our health as one of our main priorities. The first thing we think about is earning money. We think that we have to survive and we have to provide for our family, and that takes up a lot of our time and it takes up a lot of our mental capacity. Some people work 2 jobs just to put food and stuff on the table. Then we'll think about our family and our religion and our deen and our connection with Allah. And then right at the bottom of our list, we put our health. Years of doing this can lead to having health issues as we go on into our elder age and stuff. So that's one of the main issues with priority. Another issue we have with our mindset is a low level of resilience. Previously, we would lean into challenges. Our religion has always been about leaning into challenges and helping grow yourself as a person. But in modern times, we move away from challenges. Anything that we find slightly discomfortable or slightly challenging, even stuff like eating a healthy meal, we'll just shy away from it. And we look at always taking the easy path, and that can lead to problems. And then we've got well-rehearsed stories. So people sometimes have already tried to develop their health, tried to develop their fitness. It might have not been successful. They might have not taken the right steps necessarily. And because of that, their mindset's already in a state when they're trying to go on the journey that, oh, it's not going to work, it's not going to work. The important thing to understand is if your mindset doesn't change, if we can't control what's going on in our brain, then our health is not going to improve as well. So what are some of the solutions we've got? I think the first thing we need to understand, the first couple are from an Islamic perspective, we need to understand the enemy outside, so shaitan and his waswasa and the whispers of the shaitan. Then we also need to understand what's going on inside, so our nafs. There's pain versus pleasure, our desire to avoid pain and our desire to always seek pleasure. And then is reframing our health and reframing time. And the last thing is we need to understand and develop a mindset that actually we need to honor this gift of health that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted us. So, in Surah Al-A'raf, ayat number 17, it is said that Shaitan has said in response to Allah, I will approach them being us, humankind, from their front, their back, their right and their left, and then you will find most of them ungrateful. We need to understand that our number one enemy is Shaitan. His sole purpose of existence is to bring about your downfall and lead you into the fire of hell. Make you feel ungrateful for the benefits and bounties that Allah has bestowed you with. And one of the main ways that he does this is by making you neglect your health. Now, he won't do it openly and say, oh, neglect your health, but it's them slight whispers that you get every time. That when you see something that you want to eat, he'll say to you, oh, eat it and stuff. Because he knows that when you eat and you eat to excess, when your stomach is full, then ultimately you become lazy in your ibadat. You lose that khushu, that connection with Allah in your namaz. When it comes to exercise, he might tell you to skip it. It doesn't matter, we'll start tomorrow, the day after and stuff. He's always giving you these subtle and slight whispers in your ear, but he does it constantly. You've got to remember, he was created thousands of years before the first man was created. So he knows the chemistry and how to whisper into your brain to ultimately get you to neglect your health. And by neglecting your health, then you're putting yourself in a weak position to firstly live optimally and be the greatest that you can actually be, but also then you're putting yourself into a position where you can harm your future and the things that could come in the future then as well. So the important thing also to understand is that one of the main battlegrounds that shaitan has is the stomach. He'll always use the stomach as something to take you away from the remembrance of Allah. From our stomachs were meant to be filled to need, so what you need to get throughout the day. But he'll always take you from need, so how much we need to eat. So you might need to eat 1 chapati, 1.5 chapati to fill your stomach. He will take you to indulgence, to something on top. I don't know, ice cream, maybe a snack or a treat after that as well. And once you move from need to indulgence on a regular basis, then ultimately you're playing in his playground. Emotional eating. Sometimes life is stressful, I understand. There's different stress that you get in life. There's loads of different things that are going on, looking after family, work. But he will result and try to tempt you into emotional eating to make you feel better about yourself. So in the short term, you might feel better. You might eat a biscuit or a cake when you're feeling stressed and make you forget that thing, that sugar, that rush that you get might make you forget something. But ultimately, that stress is still there. So all you've done is really harmed yourself. He disconnects you eating with intention and gratitude to just being oblivious and unaware about what you're eating as well. So how many people nowadays, when they're eating the food, they'll put the TV on. So the TV is on in the background. You're not even connected to what you're eating. You're not even realizing this blessing that Allah's put in this plate in front of you. There's thousands and millions and billions of people in the world that are starving, and we regularly get meals every day, constantly. But we neglect that because we don't have that intention and that gratitude with us in that plate at the same time. And he'll always tempt you to break discipline. So if you decide, even in the month of Ramadan, everyone thinks I'm going to have the best Ramadan ever. I'm going to have the best Ramadan ever. Within about 4 or 5 days, he'll always start whispering to you. You might have a plan that I'm only going to eat this much iftar, I'm only going to eat this much sehri iftar. After a few days, he'll start whispering to you, saying, oh, look, you've done all right, you've done the few rosé. Why don't you take this extra roti, eat this extra cake, eat this extra small slice. Next minute, you know, you're full and you're going to Tarawih, and it's only 4th, 5th Tarawih, and sometimes by 6th, 7th Tarawih, you're so full that you end up missing and neglecting the Tarawih. So we need to understand the shaitan's there and his influence, and we need to understand how we can counterattack that. So if shaitan is the enemy from the outside, we need to understand that there's an enemy also within us. Imam Ghazali has said that the nafs is like a child. If you do not discipline it, it will never wean of its desires. So inside us, in modern psychology, Dr. Stephen Peters has written a book called The Chimp Paradox, where he says that the human is split into 3 pieces. The human mind, is split into 3 pieces. The human part, which is rational and logical. So it thinks about things, it makes the right decisions, it understands the impact of things. Then there's a child, which is impulsive. He calls it the monkey, but in Islam, obviously, we're going to call it the child, after Imam Ghazali has called it. It's impulsive and it's emotional. It's acts of feelings. I feel stressed. I feel like eating this cake. And then the third part, he says, is a computer, which is the memory bank. And the memory bank, it stores your habits, your beliefs, and your experiences, and then it creates automatic behaviors and automatic responses. If the memory bank will listen to the child or the human, if we are feeding it with decisions that are made by the child regularly, i.e. we're eating all the time, whatever we want to do, we're slaying. The child says, I don't want to wake up for Fajr, you don't wake up. The child saying, I don't want to exercise, you don't exercise. The computer makes an automatic memory, and that's how your habits become, and that's how your identity becomes. So when you're trying to break that, then all of a sudden it becomes difficult to break it because it's stored in your memory bank. So what we need to do is think more and act more with the human, rational, logical side of us, rather than acting of the emotional, impulsive side of us. Understanding the 2 enemies together. It's shaitan that whispers into your ear, so he will start the temptation, but the nafs ultimately is what responds. The nafs is within you. The shaitan will tempt you, and he's over 6,000 years, I believe, before the first man was created, shaitan was created. So trying to tackle the shaitan, he's doing what he's doing. Allah has given him ijazat to do that until the end of time, until the day of Qiyamah. We're not going to be able to defeat the shaitan. He's going to constantly whisper at you. He's been whispering at mankind for thousands of years, and he will do until the end of time. But the nafs is what responds, and the nafs is what we can look to control. So what we need to do is really work on learning how to raise this child within us so that it doesn't sabotage our efforts of developing our health and fitness. The person that you want to be, really, that's the person that you are, not your nafs. A lot of people identify ourselves with our nafs. So when we've maybe indulged in some bad habits which we're trying to break and stuff, we always think, oh, I'm that person that does that, I'm the person that does that. But you're not that person. That's your nafs, and you're identifying with this child. You're actually the person that you want to be. So everybody wants to be a person that prays namaz. Everybody wants to be a person that prays Quran. That's who you are, but your nafs has been put into place to try to distract you from being that. So all you have to do is identify your nafs and pull yourself away from that to help you achieve and become the person that you need to be. So there are three voices of the nafs which we need to identify and which we need to hear within our own minds that are talking. So the first one I call the negotiator. He'll always talk through feelings and he'll try to make deals with you. So like I said, let's take that example again. You've said that in Ramadan you're only going to eat twice a day. You're going to eat a sahri, you're going to eat a iftar. After you come back from Taraweeh, the nafs will be the one that will say, we pray Taraweeh, let's eat a small cake, and we'll do it today, we'll go back to it tomorrow. Or we'll quickly skip this namaz today, and then we'll pray our namaz from tomorrow. Or we'll start from Monday. That one that's always trying to negotiate with you, that voice, yeah? That's your nafs inside talking to you. Then there's the skeptic, who will always raise doubts inside you. So whenever you're trying to make a plan, whenever you're trying to make progress, he'll always tell you, oh, you failed before, this isn't going to work. We've tried this before. It raises these doubts inside you. And then there's the idol, which always seeks comfort and ease and instant gratification. It just wants instant sugar. It wants to lie down. It wants to do nothing. It just wants to rest all day. These are voices and patterns of behavior that are in your mind that aren't you, that you need to identify and understand that they're not you. This is a test which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, and we need to detach ourselves from that voice. So how do we detach ourselves from that voice? There's a two-part strategy which I've created. The first one is to spot the child. You need to understand and create awareness within you when your nafs is talking. So when you're talking to yourself through feelings, I feel like doing this, or you're feeling emotional, you're feeling stressed, and then you decide to make decisions, understand at that point, that's most likely that your nafs is going to be talking to you. If you listen to sensations and cravings that you get for food and stuff, that isn't you again. Most of the time when we get these cravings for food, our stomach's already full. But we just want to eat because we're bored or we're feeling stressed about something. Thoughts and feelings, and then we need to detach ourselves from that. We need to understand that this isn't me, this is my nafs that's talking. So you can name it. When you get these thoughts and feelings, you can say, oh, that's the negotiator, that's the skeptic, or that's the idol, that's the one who just someone else wants to rest and stuff. Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala used to always speak to his nafs. That's another way you can do it, to detach from it, is by actually speaking to your nafs. There's a narration of a story. One evening he was coming back after Isha Salat, and he was walking home, and he had planned to do ibadat in the evening at home. As he was walking past, he seen a group of men talking and laughing and joking, and inside him a voice said straight away, like, I wonder what's going on there. And he felt that urge to go over and start joining in the conversation and having a talk and laugh. But then he addressed himself. He said, look, you want to go there and speak and stuff, is that going to get you any closer to Allah? You're just going to waste your time. You've got this plan at home, do ibadat. If you go there, you're going to end up missing your plan, and you're going to move further away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is something that we need to do. These decisions and these temptations that we get, we need to ask ourselves, is this going to bring us closer to Allah, or is this going to take us further away from Allah? Once you've identified it and you spotted it, it's not something that's going to happen overnight, and there'll be still lots of times where you identify and you still can't take the necessary action, but you just got to keep, that's what Jihadi Akbar is. The greater jihad is constantly battling that voice inside you and stuff. The second part of it is you need to lead the child away then. There's a 5-minute rule, so you commit to 5 minutes of action. So when he's raising these temptations in your head, you might get a craving, it might be for cigarettes, or it might be for some food, or something that's not healthy, that's going to take you away from your health goals. You commit to 5 minutes of action of doing anything else by changing either your environment or your physiology. So you could get up and go for a walk for 5 minutes wholeheartedly, just be in that walk, do dhikr when you're doing that walk. You've moved away from that environment. Or you could recite the Rood Sharif, you could do a bit of exercise for 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. And within 5 minutes, anything you got to do a bit of safai at home, a bit of cleaning at home, anything to distract yourself for 5 minutes. Because after the 5 minutes, that voice, that child's voice, it quietens down inside you. And once that quietens down, then inshallah you can end up overcoming it. As I said, it sounds easy on paper and it sounds easy when it's written there as well. It's not an easy thing. Obviously, it's jihad akbar. This is the greatest struggle that we have to go through on a daily basis. But the more time you identify it and then you give it a few minutes by doing something else and distracting it, the quieter the voice gets, the more you start winning the battle and the less the voice starts raising. Okay, so moving on to pain versus pleasure, what I call the tug of war. As human beings, we're wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. Anything in your life you do will be to seek pleasure and avoid pain. From waking up in the morning, if you wake up for Fajr, your idea is to wake up to seek the pleasure of Allah, to gain reward, and then to avoid the pain of the Akhirah. In the other ways, people might actually not wake up in the morning, and the pleasure that they're seeking is to stay asleep in bed. So they want to get them extra few minutes, and they think of waking up as pain and stuff. So anything you do, even think about insan as a creation. We created the TV to gain pleasure of entertainment. Then we went and created the remote control to avoid the pain of getting up and changing the channel. Anything we do it to either seek pleasure and avoid pain. The problem we have in the modern environment is our brain releases a chemical called dopamine. And dopamine makes you feel good in the moment. It's a feel-good reward chemical. The problem that we have though is this has been hijacked through instant gratification. Our desire is to release this chemical instantly so that we feel good. We're having lots of fast food which releases that chemical. That's why you feel good when eating fast food. Netflix, TikTok, scrolling, wasting time. These are all things that make you feel good, sleeping on the couch and everything. They make you feel good instantly at the moment. The issue we have is because we're releasing this artificially in large portions, then the author Charles Caleb Colton has said that pain may be said to follow pleasure as its shadow. So when you lean too much into pleasure and doing pleasurable activities and enjoying yourself too much, then ultimately Allah has created everything in balance. In the Quran is written that I've created everything in perfect balance. The body also likes to restore balance within yourself. So if you lean too much into pleasure, the body will develop pain just so that it can balance itself off. Now that pain will manifest itself as weight gain, as poor sleep, as reduced focus, anxiety, fatigue, and metabolic health conditions. So the more that we're trying to please ourselves and doing these pleasurable activities of eating fast food and watching TV and not, ultimately releasing that chemical, that dopamine, then our body will balance that off by giving us these painful things so that it brings everything back into balance to restore. So what's the solution of this? The solution is we need to move away from seeking instant gratification, so pleasing ourselves straight away, to moving towards delayed gratification. And the way that we can do that is by stop viewing discomfort as a threat. As I mentioned before, we've become a generation where anything that's slightly discomfortable, we try to move away from it and we see it as something that we need to avoid. But we need to start viewing controlled discomfort like exercise and eating healthier as an investment in ourselves. We need to start adopting long-term thinking rather than short-term thinking. As Muslims, we should always adopt long-term thinking anyway, i.e. the Akhirah. We've always been taught to think about the Akhirah. Do good today, do good actions today, so that in the future, inshallah, you'll have a better Akhirah. So we need to adopt that same thinking when it comes to our health as well. We need to think about eating healthier. We need to think about exercising. It might feel discomfortable in the moment, slightly, but inshallah, it'll have a positive outcome in the long term as well. If you look at short-term instant gratification, in the short term it feels good. You eat a burger, you eat a cheeseburger, pizza, biscuits and everything feels good. But in the long term, that's going to have negative consequences. Whereas if you look at it the other way and you look at delayed gratification, so we're delaying the feel-good factor, in the short term that can feel challenging. Working out, exercising, eating healthy, it might not feel good at the moment when you're having to eat salad or eating oats and porridge and stuff. But in the long term, inshallah, that will have positive health outcomes when you age more gracefully and betterly. Another advantage of it is by leaning into the challenges, your body releases other happy chemicals, it's called, so this is the scientific part of it, to restore the balance back to homeostasis. So when we talk about the body, it's always looking to restore balance. If you lean into challenges first, so you went for a workout or you ate healthier and stuff, your body will tip into pain first, but then to bring it back to homeostasis, to balance, then your body will release pleasure chemicals, i.e. dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins. And these chemicals will make you feel better overall. And that's why you get this factor after doing exercise, you get that feeling of, you feel good because your body has released positive chemicals. That's why after praying, after fasting, your body releases serotonin when you open your fast and everything, because you've been through a bit of a difficult thing, and then your body releases chemicals to make you feel better and stuff. So by leaning into pain slightly in a controlled way, then inshallah your body will reward you, and Allah has created our system that we will be rewarded afterwards by having these better chemicals being released within our brain. So I just want to move on to talking about reclaiming time and talking about reframing, how we can reframe our health. I understand a lot of us have a lot of pressure when it comes to our time. We have high pressure jobs. Some people even have 2 jobs that they have to do. We have family commitments that we have. We have extended family as well. So we've got mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, aunties, uncles that we have to look after. We have cultural and spiritual commitments like Ramadan, Eid, all these other Muharram, all these other spiritual commitments that we have. And then we just have socializing time, me time. People like to say, oh, I like my me time. I need my time for me, just to socialize, just so that I can calm down and relax. Surah Al-Asr has said in Surah Ayat 1 and 2, by the passage of time, surely humanity is in grave loss. We think that we don't have enough time to develop a health. When I speak to people, they say, oh, I don't have time yet. I just don't have the time. I've got to do this, I've got to do that. But time is one of your primary capitals. It's one of the main gifts that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. After He's given you Iman, that's the main gift He's given you. The second gift that He's given you is your health, and then one of the third gifts He's given you is time. So we make time for what we believe is important. We say we don't have time to develop our health, but we still make plenty of time for other things. We still make time to scroll TikTok, Instagram. We still make time for computer games. We still make time to watch TV. We still make time to make these phone calls to go on for hours on end when we're not talking about anything. We still make time for shopping and stuff. There's still plenty of time. If you look at your own diaries, there's still plenty of time that you have. But ultimately, that means that we don't have a time problem. We have a priority problem. We don't see health as a main priority. We see it as something that's optional until it's not optional. That's until we get a slap from the doctor or something, or someone close to us has a health problem, and then all of a sudden we realize actually our health is important, and then it fits into our schedule. But why do we need to get into that situation in the first place? So some of the ways I want us to start thinking about time now differently is to make our health our number one. After your namaz, roza and everything, you need to make your health your number one priority. People are living for longer. Research, science has all showed this. People are living for longer, but that doesn't mean they're living healthier for longer. People are living for longer with bamariyan and with illnesses. People are living for longer with diabetes. People are living for longer with pain, with inflammation, and they're putting burden and stress on the NHS as well, but also on their loved ones, on their family. So all this life, people have been working. My family was paise kamana pe. I'm earning for my family. I'm making sure they have the things that I didn't have. I want them to have a good life. But in the end, then we become a burden on them. We're putting a risk of becoming a burden on them, because they have to take us around to these doctors' places, and they have to administer our injections, and they have to wake up in the middle of the night to take us to toilet and stuff, yeah? So if we don't make our health the most important priority, then we could end up being a burden on the ones that we love. And then the second health reframe that we need to make is to make our health, the journey of developing our health, a means of demonstrating our obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It starts by building a strong niyat. If you build a strong niyat that, Ya Allah, I want to develop my health, surely because you give me this gift, and I want to develop it, and I want to maintain it because it's a gift from you, and I want to demonstrate my obedience to you. It increases your ikhlas, your sincerity. You train, when you go into the gym and stuff, you're not training, I want to look good in the mirror, or I want to look good for the opposite sex. You're training because you think you want the validation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not from your peers. I don't want these big muscles to show my friends that, oh, palwan aa gaya ji, I want to develop these muscles. मैं इंशाल्लाह वड्डा होकर नमाज पढ़ सकना, when I'm older मैं आपू सजदा कर सकना, I can move around capably. In my namaz I've got khushu, I've got connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It increases your taqwa. If you're connecting your health with Allah, every healthy meal that you eat, every workout you have, you create this connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you're eating a healthy meal, automatically you think, I'm eating this meal because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me this gift, and I want to protect this gift. That increases your taqwa, your relationship with Allah. It gives you patience. It teaches you patience, because it's not going to happen overnight. It's got to happen slowly. And in Islam, we're always taught to have sabr and patience. By going on this journey of developing your health, you're also going to develop patience, because you have to handle the slow progress, the day after day. Nobody's going to get fit and healthy within 2-3 months. It takes years. So you have to go on that journey as well. It also gives your health a higher purpose rather than just looking good for the opposite sex or in the mirror or for your friends. If you're thinking about connecting with Allah, it gives you a higher purpose, which increases your motivation. And it strengthens your capacity for religious duties, for doing charity work, for praying your namaz, for praying your tarawih. You're allowed to do these things. A lot of people praying tarawih, there's people stood next to each other, everyone's praying. But some people will have that deep connection. Research has shown that the people that are healthy will have that deep connection within them whilst they're praying, whilst other people that aren't as healthy, their brains will be going all over the place, when they're praying namaz and stuff. So you need to develop that connection. And being healthier will create that extra connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just finally, I wanted to finish on honoring the gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which He has given us. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, you will not be given anything after the word of sincerity, i.e. the kalmah, like well-being, like your health. So after your iman, after the kalmah, the greatest gift that we are being given is our health. So we should be honoring this gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. Imagine you give a gift, a car to your friend, and then you seen him, it's a really expensive car they've given him, really nice car and stuff, and it meant a lot to you, and you've given it to him because he wanted it. And you just see him screwing around, driving everywhere. The handbrakes thing, it's got dents in it. After 2-3 months, you see it's got dents in it. He's just throwing it around, he's throwing the keys anywhere and stuff. You'd be thinking, how ungrateful is this guy? I've given him this gift, it cost so much, it meant so much to me. And look at this guy just abusing it like it's nothing to him. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might be thinking of us in the same way when we're abusing these gifts and everything that He's given us. Without good health, ibadah is compromised. You don't have that connection in your namaz without good health. It's compromised. When you're praying your Quran, you haven't got that khushu. Good health means that you have that connection and you got the ability to have that better connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then there's ittidal as well, so balance and moderation. As I mentioned before, Allah has created everything. There's numerous references in the Quran that Allah has created everything with balance. We also need to find that balance within our life and within our health as well. At the moment, we might be eating too much and eating too much fast food, too much processed food and stuff. So we need to rein that in and find that balance, because that's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ultimately has made us. And if we want to get the best out of this world, then we need to find that balance internally as well. Health, taqwa, as I mentioned. When we're eating, we need to create that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you need to switch the TVs off. A lot of people are eating with the TV on in the background, or we've stopped eating together as a family. People are sat on the table and they'll put the Netflix on or they'll put the show on and then they're eating, and you don't even know what you're eating. There's no barakat in that plate anymore. A lot of the time we're forgetting to recite the dua of eating until it with the last qira, then we might remember and stuff. Switch the TV off, slow down and do shukr, do gratitude for this food that you've got. And who knows then, that same food that you eat might hit you differently inside. Allah might bless it in a different way. It might have extra blessings and barakat in it as well. And when you're going on this journey, when you're going for walks and things, even walking is something simple you can do. You can be reciting dhikr at the same time. So when you're out and about walking in the park, you're doing dhikr and you're remembering Allah at the same time. You're connecting and you're creating that extra taqwa that people are saying, I don't have that connection with Allah, I don't have that connection. We just think when we walk to the masjid, we have to have this connection with Allah. And then we walk out and then that's it. Your health, developing your health, when you're going to the gym and having a workout, you could be reciting dhikr whilst you're doing exercise at the same time. Sabr and good habits. So it's hard, as I mentioned, doing these habits, eating clean constantly throughout the week, exercising regularly. It's not easy, but it develops sabr. And sabr is an important gift in Islam that's been given to us. So it's an important characteristic that we need to develop. So good habits will lead to sabr, inshallah. And then the month of Ramadan, this blessed month at the moment, inshallah, is a chance for us to break. Everyone just thinks, it's about, when I ask my children as well, they say, what's Ramadan about? It's to understand what the poor are going through and stuff. That is one element of Ramadan. But it's a blessing which Allah has given us to break these habits and routines that we've got. We're forced to break these habits and routines that we've got and invest in creating new habits and routines as well. So Ramadan is a month where we need to start reviewing everything that we're doing at the moment. It's a perfect opportunity to look at the meals. We're having to put less food in our body anyway. Look at our routines and everything and break them down, and any bad habits that we've got, inshallah, do dua to get rid of them and start developing good habits and stuff as well. Any questions? Anyone? No? Inshallah, next week we'll discuss about how we can make things easy and exercise. What's the best way to exercise to create the most body vitality that we can have, and in a balanced way as well. Let's finish with the dua. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa sahabi Sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallim wa salli alayhi ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب اللهم أجرنا من النار يا مجير يا مجير يا مجير. Ya Allah, please allow this blessed month of Ramadan to be a turning point in our lives, Ya Allah, so that we can develop a deep and more profound relationship with you. Make us of those that use this dunya to sow the seed of the akhirah. Ya Allah, please save us from the negligence, the heedlessness, the idleness in our worship and devotion to you. Ya Allah, please forgive us for our shortcomings and for our transgressions. Surely without your mercy, Ya Allah, without your compassion, we are lost in this world and the akhirah. Ya Allah, Khalas Surya from this neighborhood, she was very dear to us in this neighborhood. Ya Allah, she has departed this temporary abode. Ya Allah, please make her a nice, cool resting place for her. Please grant her the blessed vision of Jannah from her grave. Please ease the pain and suffering that her family feel for her loss. Ya Allah, please grant her success on the day of Qiyamah. Make her of those that receive her record in her right hand. Make her of those whose balances will be heavy with good deeds. Make her of those that will receive the shade under your throne on that day when there will be no shade for the evildoers and disbelievers. Ya Allah, better still allow her to be of those that get to enter Jannah without being taken into account and cross the Sirat by the speed of lightning. Ya Allah, the Muslims of Gaza, the Muslims of the West Bank, the Muslims of Sudan who are suffering mercilessly at the hands of the kuffar and the shaitan. Ya Allah, please grant them victory over their oppressors. Increase their resilience, increase their bravery. Ya Allah, please do not allow their sacrifice to go in vain. Allow it to unite the ummah of your beloved Habib sallallahu alaihi wasallam so that we can come to their aid and the aid of anyone who is suffering from tyranny, oppression or poverty in the world. Ya Allah, whatever is best for the ummah, I fail to ask for. You are the all-knowing, the all-aware, the all-seeing, the all-hearing. Ya Allah, please grant this to the ummah of your beloved Habib sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Salatu wassalamu alayka ya Rasulullah wa ala alika wa sahabika ya Habibullah. All praise and all glory be to you, Allah, in whose hand is the dominion of everything, to whom we shall be returned. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu.